dollar. Dirt and money, no soul. Had to go and get it, ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my foes. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my partners. Keep my money long, get my team strong. Let me run away from my problems.
Yo, what's good, original crew? It's your boy DJ New Kid, your girl.
Sierra Nicole.
Back on the channel with another Watch Mojo. Before we get into it, first we gotta put emphasis on Watch Mojo. Let y'all know where the mojo came from. It came from Watch Mojo. But we got 10 creepy facts about Jeffrey Dahmer. A lot of people still trying to figure out, because this their first time even hearing about who he is from that. Today, October 7th, Netflix should have dropped the Jeffrey Dahmer tapes. So, I guess Netflix gonna roll with this. You know what I'm saying? And it's in October. You know, with the spookiness and the crazy, you know. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's a money grab as well. You gotta maximize. It's a business.
Yeah, that's what they do.
So you know what I'm saying. You gotta understand it. So with that being said, we ain't gonna hold y'all. We're gonna see what the creepy facts are that we might not know about. But before, make sure y'all check out the links in the description box
down below. You
already know where to go, man. You want the first part, you gotta do it. Check out down below. Also, if you enjoyed today's video, as always, we ask you to lock it in with a thumbs up.
Please do that.
But you ready, girl?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Let's check it out. Let's see what it's about.
I suppose it could have turned into a normal hobby like taxidermy, but it didn't. It veered off into this.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're looking at 10 creepy facts about Jeffrey Dahmer.
I guess I hope that he could be somebody that wanted to see a movie that I wanted to see.
For this list, we're looking at some of the strangest details about the infamous Milwaukee serial killer. Which of these do you find the creepiest? Let us know in the comments. Number 10. Intended to build an altar out of remains. During his hours of interviews conducted after his capture in 1991, Jeffrey Dahmer confessed that he planned to use the remains of the victims he collected to make an altar to himself.
I even went so far as planning on setting up an altar with the 10 different skulls and skeletons.
He detailed his very specific plan via the photographs he took of his victims and in a drawing featuring 2 full skeletons and several skulls. All was to be arranged on a black table set up in his apartment with a chair facing the shrine, making it a, quote, place for meditation, which he viewed as an area where he, quote, could feel at home. However, he was caught before his plans were realized. Number 9.
That's insane.
Let me ask you this, though. And I'm going to ask y'all as well. Y'all can let us know in the comments. That's why I was, you know what I'm saying? Do you believe he would have got caught if he was in a house instead of an apartment? Because his neighbors were very nosy. But if, say, for instance, he was out in the house, out like in the country, really, like, neighbors ain't close.
Well, for me, it's not necessarily the neighbors this time the reason why he got... Well, I mean, it's not the neighbors the reason why he got caught, per se.
Yeah.
It was because, but going off of your scenario of, like, out in the country somewhere, and the victim escaped, 9 times out of 10, no. I don't think so. Because it wasn't necessary, because the neighbors, neighbors would be nosy. They'll call,
but him running, being able to
and stuff
run out
of that nature, there would be nowhere to go. You know what I'm saying? So I think if he wasn't in an apartment and it wasn't like people around, I feel like he would have still been.
Damn.
And it's sad to even think, to think about that. It's kind of like, thankfully, he was caught when he was caught. You wish he could have been caught sooner, but...
Way into the White House. Turns out Jeffrey Dahmer was a master manipulator long before he fooled law enforcement. In his graphic novel, My Friend Dahmer, former Revere High School classmate John Durf Backdurf recalled a class trip to Washington, D.C. when Dahmer did the unthinkable. The high schooler lied to White House staff in order to meet then Vice President Walter Mondale. He managed to get himself and his friends a private tour of Mondale's office. In the film adaptation of the same name, the students meet the VP in person and have a brief conversation.
Sorry, excuse me. Just a second. These kids are with the newspaper, their school newspaper from
Ohio.
Ohio. That's a great state. Our fellow Midwesterners. I'm from Minnesota.
However, in the comic, they see him working in his office. Still, that is quite the con. Number 8,
That's
suspected
crazy.
of killing Adam Walsh.
Based on eyewitness accounts of the horrifying day Adam Walsh disappeared, some now believe little Adam may have fallen victim to the cannibalistic killer.
After he was discharged from the military in March 1981, Dahmer decided to move to Miami, Florida instead of returning home to Ohio. He worked in a deli, but ended up living on the beach and drinking. When news of his crimes came out in 1991, reports came in from witnesses who allegedly saw him at Florida's Hollywood Mall in July 1981, where little Adam Walsh went missing.
Dahmer was there. 4 people who were at that mall identified him after he was arrested by Milwaukee police. They saw his photograph and said, that's the guy that we encountered.
Dahmer, however, denied any involvement, and since he had just admitted to killing 17 over a span of about 13 years, investigators found it unlikely that he would lie about committing any further crimes. Dahmer killing Walsh is a strange theory, though. Number 7.
You know, that's the main one we battle with a lot. You like...
But then we always go back to it didn't fit his MO. But then it's kind of like, also, it's like...
But it did.
But yeah, because my thing is like...
It didn't, but it did at the same time.
I don't know. I don't know. That one's like, is it a coincidence?
Because he was open and honest about everybody he killed. So we also always go back to that part. We like...
But you never know the reason why some people may not admit to certain things, but they admit to all the... You know what I'm saying? Like,
because
that's just...
Even though I feel like in the movie they say that he was prone, he was like, I deserve death, I deserve the death penalty. Who knows that you could say that, but actually willingly to go through it, you might not really want to go through that. Because is it a possibility, the reason why you I don't know Ohio, but you know Milwaukee didn't have the death penalty. So that's the reason why. But we know Florida got the death penalty. So is there a possibility you didn't want to go face that situation? Because 9 times out of 10 you would have got the death penalty. And you possibly didn't want to really go through that. But you knew you weren't going to get it in Milwaukee. So you was like, yeah, I deserve death, but I know y'all can't give me that. But in Florida, you knew that if I get convicted for this one, I know for a fact I'm going to get the possibility of getting a death penalty. And I ain't trying to face that all the way down there in Florida.
Yeah, that whole situation is...
And family.
Yeah.
Florida, you from Ohio and your grandma was in Milwaukee. So you'll be close to the family up that way, opposed to being convicted on death row all the way in Florida.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's the one I don't know. I know they do got the guy, say who the guy is that did it, but that one still is kind of up in the air.
His first attack at 16. As a teen, Jeffrey Dahmer fantasized about an attractive man he regularly saw jogging by his house every day.
That was in the movie.
Once his fantasies became too great, he hatched a plan to attack the man and bring him into the woods to commit non-consensual acts. One day, he hid in the bushes with a baseball bat waiting for his target to pass.
He thought he would wait in the bushes with a baseball bat. This guy would come by and he'd bonk him in the head and he'd have this guy.
Fortunately, the man chose not to head out for a jog that day. After this first attempt, Dahmer never tried to attack him again. He cited this incident as his first real pursuit of violence against another person.
It was at this point that Jeffrey's paraphilic fantasies began.
Number 6. Parents fought over his brain.
What?
I didn't say a thing, did I?
The bizarre and disturbing nature of his unspeakable crimes made Jeffrey Dahmer a particularly fascinating serial killer. Studying how his mind worked could potentially find an answer as to why he had these violent desires, making him an ideal subject in criminal psychology research. His mother, Joyce, shared the same view, and after his death in November 1994, She wanted his brain donated to scientists at California's Fresno State University for research purposes.
We have a chance here, Lionel, to find out why he was the way he was. Was it something he was born with? Maybe there was some small tumor somewhere?
Well, I think each of us has our own idea about why Jeff was the way he was, don't we?
His father, Lionel, however, was against it, wanting to move on from the whole tragedy. The former married couple went to court over the matter, which ultimately resulted in his brain being destroyed.
There were some scientists at Case Western Reserve that claimed they could tell why he acted like he did. And it's not possible with a dead person.
Number 5, received.
And that's another thing we kind of debated about. Not debate, but just was trying to question. And you was on the side of
possibly, if anything could be seen, to do so, to just see. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I didn't feel like it would like necessarily. I mean, it won't hurt nothing to see, but I mean, I could also understand the dad just wanted to move on, but then at the same time, it's like you don't want to know, or you just like it's over now, so you don't really.
I think he was afraid to understand why.
Because
get the reason why.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was kind of like how the dad just said, like you can't really tell, but I didn't say you really can't tell. I was more questioning how can you tell if how someone is by the brain if they're not alive. But I was open. Like when we was talked about, I was open to understanding. Yeah. The dad just automatically, you can't tell how he was. So what's the point of y'all keeping my son's brain? Because to be honest, they probably would still be experimenting on it now, and eventually the parents would it's gonna eventually die off. That's just nature. Yeah. They probably like, I want y'all to still, even after we're dead and gone, I don't want y'all to still have any parts of our child and experiment on them. So,
a lot of money in prison. Believe it or not, there are many people in the world who idolize serial killers, and Jeffrey Dahmer was no exception. As seen in the Netflix series, he received fan letters with gifts and requests for drawings.
Will you send me back, like, a drawing or something? And I sent you $5.
Weird.
Very.
And according to Wisconsin's Columbia Correctional Institution records, Dahmer also managed to save up thousands of dollars while in prison. By March 1994, the inmate had received letters from all over the globe, reportedly racking up more than $12,000 just from donations. While some letters were of the suggestive nature, others reached out wanting to discuss religion, provide support, or just become pen pals. Number 4. His death parallels his first murder. In the early hours of November 28, 1994, Jeffrey Dahmer was cleaning the prison gym when he was killed by fellow Columbia Correctional Institution inmate Christopher Scarver. Another inmate on cleaning duty, convicted murderer Jesse Anderson, met a similar fate. Scarver, also serving a life sentence for murder, reportedly attacked Dahmer with a 20-inch metal bar from a piece of workout equipment. Dahmer died soon after the incident, and as chance would have it, back in 1978, a teenage Jeffrey Dahmer killed his first victim, Stephen Hicks, with a dumbbell. Number 3,
That's so crazy. I was saying that I never put 2 and 2 together that his fate was the same fate of his first victim. Yeah. Bludgeoned and beaten with the workout.
Yeah, I didn't put 2 and 2 together when I watched it either.
Like that's amazing, Mom. Yeah. Like that's the weirdest coincidence. Like the way I took out the first victim is the way I
went out.
A fetal pig. One of the most widely known facts about Jeffrey Dahmer's childhood is that he had a fascination with the internal organs and bones of dead animals, going so far as to collect roadkill.
And took them back into the woods, unknown to any of us, and dissected them just to see what was on their inside.
He kept his collection in a hut by his house, filling it with preserved remains in jars of formaldehyde.
That's enough, Jeff.
Hey, Dad!
No, you are spending too much time in here.
The Netflix series shows high school students dissecting fetal pigs in a science class. Afterwards, Dahmer asks permission to take one home to practice, which the teacher agrees to.
You think I could take one home? Just to practice?
To be honest with you, Jeff, I've been teaching for 22 years and no one's ever asked me that. Sure.
However, the real Dahmer was rumored to have stolen the preserved animal from the classroom, likely as a prank. In a 1994 interview, the convicted murderer admitted to taking a fetal pig home while in high school, confirming everyone's suspicions.
In 9th grade, in biology class, we had the usual dissection of fetal pigs, and I took the remains of that home and kept the skeleton of it, and I just started branching out dogs, cats.
Number 2, tried to steal a corpse.
And what did you plan on doing?
I just wanted to lay with him.
In an effort to resist giving in to his murderous compulsions, Jeffrey Dahmer sought out alternative ways to satisfy his dark desires. At one point, he stole a mannequin from a store and brought it home, but it ultimately did not work.
In the struggle to control his fantasies, his behavior became more abnormal.
He took a mannequin from a department store, thinking that if he had that mannequin with him and sleeping in bed with the mannequin, etc., that maybe he could control the impulses that way.
One particularly macabre idea Dahmer had was to obtain the corpse of a recently deceased male.
Dahmer told me that on one occasion he had seen in the newspaper an account of a young man who was killed on a motorcycle. And he fell in love with the individual just from the photograph.
He saw an obituary in the newspaper for an 18-year-old young man he found attractive. And after attending his funeral, Dahmer tried to dig up his freshly buried grave. But it proved too difficult since the soil had already hardened.
It was March and the ground was too hard and it would have taken forever, so... But I wish I could have dug him up.
Before we continue,
And that's the thing with him. I feel like his MO wasn't the fascination of killing people. It was the fascination of dead bodies. You know what I mean? Because the things he did with dead bodies, he didn't do nothing really with a lot of them while they were alive. He
wanted to get them in this state of
you
know, to do whatever.
That's when he had sex with them and did all the weird stuff he did. It couldn't, and I guess he just got because eventually the body rotted and he like, all right, I need a fresh body, and that's the reason why he was trying to see if he could zombify the body. Somebody, he still wanted them to be alive so the flesh won't decay. But they wouldn't be alive because he was so fascinated by.
That's so sick.
A dead body.
A corpse. That's sick. That's super sick.
That's what it is.
And it's already sick to, you know, like to listen to like the remakes or whatever, like the, you know, movies and all that, the series and stuff. But then to actually hear him talk about it, it's like even more creepy. Like to actually hear him and his voice like talk, like it's super creepy.
Yeah. And then starting to put 2 and 2 together, like a lot of the stuff that you start. That's one. Like I said, I feel like he was more fascinated by a dead body. Like he just killed him because he had to have a dead body. Yeah. But he didn't like seek to just kill people because you know some people get the thrill of killing.
Yeah.
I don't think he got the thrill of killing. I think he got the thrill of a dead body laying there and he could do whatever he want with it.
Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Brought a head to work. In March of 1989, while Dahmer lived with his grandma in West Allis, he went to a bar and convinced Anthony Sears to come home with him. After engaging in intimate acts, Dahmer drugged and beheaded Sears, though the killer claimed he hadn't intended to commit a crime before setting out for the evening. Dahmer then kept both Sears' head and private parts in a box.
Mr. Dahmer had become extremely disturbed in his thought processes, and the idea that the people he'd killed would somehow live on through him was part of that disturbed thinking.
As if that wasn't disturbing enough, the criminal stored the box in his locker at the Milwaukee Ambrosia Chocolate Factory, where he worked nights as a mixer. Imagining human remains inside a chocolate factory just turns our stomachs.
Were you almost flaunting it?
Yes, but that's how strong the compulsion was. That's how
bizarre the desire was. I wanted to keep something of the person with me.
I don't think flaunting had anything to do with it.
You said what?
I don't think flaunting had anything to do with it. I don't believe he was took the head to work and had it carrying around to flaunt it. I think it was more afraid of being caught. Because if I keep this head at grandma's house, grandma might find it. Dad tried to find it. I had to keep it close to me so I could feel like...
But this is the thing. I mean, it is kind of like he said, it is somewhat, that was kind of like the case. But my thing is, I'm not taking it to work. It's a better chance for me to get caught at work when many people around. If somebody like sense something or smell something or like see it, like if I open it, walk in, like, you know, accident, like I have a better chance of getting caught at work than I do at grandma's house.
Yeah, I hear what
you know what I'm saying? So it's like...
Well, yeah, you're right.
So
you're right.
just, I don't know. It's just
right.
weird.
But I think he just wanted to keep it so close where he thought if I keep it close enough to me, I can.
Because did you just take it to work with you so you could have it while you at work and you took it home at night as well when you left work?
Mm-hmm.
It's, you know, so it's kind of like it was like a fun. Like I just want, I want to have it with me and all. That's weird. Oh my gosh, just for me to even say it back, like to think about it. That's crazy.
Yeah. When you say it like that, yeah, you're right.
That is so.
But But I also do again believe that it was pertaining to the fact that he was afraid he was gonna get. But you can't be afraid, like you said, getting caught with it because you literally took it to work. They could have just searched our lockers any day. You know what I'm saying?
Like I would have been like, why he bringing this box to work every day? What's in this box? And then I get curious because, you know, people are nosy. Like, what's in this box? And you become suspicious. So it's kind of... So yeah, it wasn't... It wasn't that he cared if he got caught or not. It was just like he said, I wanted him close to me at all times. It was just like a thing of...
And wasn't he the one that was like 17?
Don't give me the line, but yeah.
I think he was the 17-year-old one. He was young. Yeah,
that's...
He's still a sick individual, though.
Very much so.
And then if you notice, a lot of times he said whenever he killed someone, it was never his intention to kill him. It just so happened to happen that way. Because you remember, like, even Conrad, he was like, it was never intention to even link up with him to do that. And it was like with a lot of them. I wasn't going out here seeking, even the one we found out he had went to...
Was you just kind of like, what, this urge? Like, you start to get this urge and you can't control?
What's the one we just heard about that we watched it? He went to the club and he had met him at the
adults...
like he went
the
bookstore, the adult bookstore at 3:00 in the morning. His intention wasn't to hook up with him. He just happened to see him and... That's when they went back home.
Or his intention wasn't to go out and seeking to get someone. He just so happened to run into this guy that he was like found attractive or whatever the case. And then these urges started to, you know.
Yeah.
So, oh no, it's crazy. But yeah, sad.
Yeah, it's very sad, man. Make sure y'all spam us up. Let us know y'all thoughts and opinions. Also, if y'all have already seen the tapes, let us know y'all thoughts and opinions on those as well, man. I feel like I got some. I got it.
Yeah. Let me see.
I got it.
Yeah.
Let's piece it now. But with that being said, man, I do go by the name DJ New Kid. This is.
Here in the house.
We are. We are, y'all.
Ain't no time to kick it. Got a stack of flip for my folks. Dollar. Please tell me you can hear me. Don't turn your back and don't neglect me. Just let me know if you need me. Dollar. Let me watch out for my pocket.